The construction site buzzed with noise, metal clanging, cement mixing, shouts echoing against half-built walls. Amid the chaos, one man stood apart, dressed in an immaculate navy suit, his polished shoes glaringly out of place. His name was Marcus Bennett, a millionaire developer known across the city for turning barren land into glass towers. But that day, as the sun beat down on concrete and steel, Marcus's confident stride faltered, his sharp eyes fixed on something that made the world blur and fade away. There, kneeling on the ground, covered in dust, struggling to lift a bag of cement, was a young woman. Her long black hair had come loose from a bun, and sweat rolled down her temple. But it wasn't her struggle that froze Marcus where he stood. It was her face. For a fleeting, impossible second, he thought he was seeing her, the daughter he had lost 7 years ago in a car crash that had shattered his world. Marcus's chest tightened as he watched the worker struggle. Every movement, every glance, it mirrored his daughter. The same determined expression, the same small scar near her eyebrow. He blinked hard, trying to steady his breath. It couldn't be her. He had buried that part of his heart years ago under layers of work and wealth. Yet something deep within him whispered otherwise. As the foreman barked orders, the young woman, her name tag read Sarah, pushed herself up with trembling arms. Her safety vest was torn at the edge, her gloves worn out, and yet she kept going. Marcus felt a rush of guilt that someone so young had to endure so much. His own daughter had grown up in comfort, shielded from hardship, her laughter echoing through marble halls. He remembered her chasing him through their rose garden, her small hands covered in paint. The ache in his chest returned like an old wound reopening. Over the next few days, Marcus couldn't stop thinking about Sarah. He found himself visiting the construction site more often under the pretext of inspecting progress. He watched her work tirelessly, carrying bricks, mixing concrete, helping others with quiet determination. There was something about her that drew him in, not just the resemblance, but the strength in her silence. She never complained, never rested longer than she should, and whenever someone dropped their tools, she was the first to help, smiling softly as if life hadn't been cruel to her. One afternoon, a sudden storm rolled over the city. Most workers ran for cover, but Sarah stayed behind, trying to protect the supplies from getting ruined. Marcus, watching from his car, felt an unfamiliar panic. He rushed toward her through the rain, his shoes sinking into the muddy ground. When he reached her, she was already soaked, her hair plastered against her face, struggling to drag a tarp over the equipment. Without thinking, he grabbed one end and helped her secure it. When their eyes met, the world seemed to pause again. He saw it clearly this time. The same ocean-blue eyes his daughter once had, the same spark of quiet courage. Marcus felt tears mix with the rain as memories flooded in. After the storm passed, he followed her to the small shelter where the workers rested. He saw her pull out a crumpled photo from her pocket, stare at it, and tuck it back gently into her bag. Curiosity consumed him. That night, he couldn't sleep. He ordered his assistant to find out everything about Sarah. What he discovered the next morning shook him even more. Sarah was 23, the same age his daughter would have been. She had grown up in a foster home after being found wandering near a crashed car in the mountains when she was 16. She had no memory of her past, no known relatives, no records before that accident. Marcus's hands trembled as he read those words. Could it be? Could fate really be this cruel or this kind? The next day, he called her into his office at the site. She entered hesitantly, her clothes clean but modest, her expression wary. Marcus could barely find his voice. He asked her about the accident, about her life before it, but she shook her head. She remembered nothing except waking up in a hospital, terrified and alone. As she spoke, tears welled up in her eyes, and Marcus's heart broke all over again. He wanted to reach out, to tell her the truth that was screaming inside him, but fear held him back. What if he was wrong? What if his hope was only grief disguised as faith? Days turned into weeks, and he quietly arranged for a DNA test, unable to resist the possibility. The results came on a gray morning that felt heavy with anticipation. His hands trembled as he opened the envelope. His heart skipped a beat when he saw the words, 99.9% match. Sarah was his daughter, alive. Marcus broke down for the first time in years. All the walls he had built around his heart crumbled. He rushed to the site, searching for her. When he finally found Sarah, she was carrying a tray of tea for the workers. Seeing his tears, she panicked, thinking she had done something wrong. But then he whispered the truth, his voice shaking. He told her who she was, showed her the proof, the photos, the memories. Sarah froze, disbelief flooding her face, and then, as the realization sank in, tears streamed down her cheeks. She fell into his arms, sobbing uncontrollably. And for the first time in years, Marcus held his daughter, the one he thought he had lost forever. The reunion was quiet, yet powerful. The workers nearby watched in silence, unaware of the full story, but sensing something sacred had happened. Sarah couldn't remember her past, but she could feel the love in her father's embrace, a love she had been searching for her entire life. Over time, she moved into his home, and together they began to rebuild not just their memories, but their bond. Marcus sold off one of his biggest projects soon after, using the money to establish a foundation for orphan children. He named it the Elena Hope Fund, not just to honor the daughter he lost, but the miracle he found again. Sarah, now at his side, helped run it, ensuring that no child would ever have to grow up feeling unwanted or forgotten.